Hello and welcome to the Red Menace. We're bringing you the latest and greatest stories from a hidden tomb underneath the city of Washington, D.C. My name's Christopher Bolson.
And I'm Allison Hoare, and I did not steal the Declaration of Independence, despite what the fact you're hearing speedy cars outside might suggest. I'm not in a car chase currently.
I'm going to give everyone a little bit of a behind the music look at how the sausage is made vis-a-vis this podcast.
Yeah.
So, before every episode, you and I have a long conversation in which we both try and come up with ideas for things to talk about at the start of the podcast.
We do.
And
then sometimes we burn all our ideas in that conversation before we get into the conversation.
And, sometimes it's easy because you've just seen Cats or something and you're like,
right.
Okay, this is fine. So,
and then sometimes, you have a depressing week and you can't really talk about that in a comedy situation.
So you have to come up with a funny thing instead.
Right, exactly. You have to, scrape the bottom of the barrel for ideas.
And this week we're going to talk about the film series National Treasure. So,
I believe we've already talked about that a number of times on this podcast.
Well, yeah, okay. But it's because I have a very specific idea inspired by a story you told me.
Well, I'll tell the story first, because last night I was quite disgusted to find out that a significant portion of people that I was talking to at that point in time had not seen nor heard of the National Treasure series, which to me is frankly disgusting because it's an artwork.
I think the correct word is franchise. I think series undersells
right, sure. The franchise, the cinematic universe.
The extended universe.
The National Treasure extended universe. Somebody asked me, what is your favourite movie? So of course I said National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets. And they're like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, what is that?
And you
it's
said,
National Treasure 2, The Book of Secrets.
And
it's in the name.
Who the fuck are you? This is Nicolas Cage's best
how
work.
have you not seen National Treasure? It is a big movie. It's a big film.
Now, I can feel some of our audience members' hearts filling up with shame right now.
Because they haven't seen National Treasure.
Presumably one or both of my parents who have not seen the National Treasure.
Well, they should watch National Treasure. They would like it.
National Treasure 2,
it's
Book of
parent-friendly
Secrets.
films.
It does. Both my parents unironically like the Da Vinci Code, so I think they actually would like National
Treasure and National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets.
But you and I were very excited recently to learn that Disney has announced that National Treasure 3 title pending is
absolutely
in production, and we've recently said that you and I are going to get in this flick.
Well, I do want to get in that film. It is my goal in life, frankly.
Of all film, I have 2 IMDb credits for audio production to my name, so I'm pretty sure that allows me to get into a major Hollywood production.
Well, I would say so. That's plenty of... You've got an IMDb page, that's a start. Nicolas Cage can plug in your name and he can see you.
You say that. Both of those IMDb credits are misspelt, so there is actually no centralized page for me. It's just me listed on 2 different projects. And I've never bothered to fix it.
That's Nicolas Cage can't plug in your name and find you, so you might have to get on that and sort out that issue.
But if he one day decides to look through the filmography of my friend Cameron, he will see my credit as audio producer on 2 of them.
So what you've got to do is you've got to get Cameron to apply for a job on National Treasure 3, title pending.
Yes.
And then Nicolas Cage himself... who does the casting in these movies, presumably, I'm going straight to the man. I don't want to go through any middlemen. Yeah. Nicolas Cage will plug in your friend's name, and then he'll scroll down, and then he'll be like, an audio producer. I need that for my film.
Given how Nicolas Cage in the fiction of the film is supposed to be this very attractive man, I can't fathom the concept that he's not executive producer, at least, of these bad boys. So, he must be high up in the rungs.
There's a lot of unrealistic things in National Treasure. The most unrealistic is that Nicolas Cage is a dreamboat.
So the reason I wanted to bring this up is I think that given that the title of the film is pending and we know literally nothing about the plot, I think you and I should sort of brainstorm potential subtitles for National Treasure 3 title pending.
Okay.
Sure. I'm going to suggest my first one is National Treasure 3, The Seduction of the Cage.
Yeah, true, okay. But I'm not sure if I want to see that on screen.
Okay, so you think it's better left to the imagination. Well, I mean, just by looking at him...
Whatever Nicolas Cage is doing in bed with the blonde lady he kidnapped in the first movie, that's between them.
That's true. That's some real Stockholm Syndrome between them shit that movie has going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird things.
In that case, in sort of a respin of Book of Secrets, I'm thinking National Treasure 3 Illuminati VCR.
Now, well, that could work, because in the second film at the end, there's a little bit of a teaser for the next film, which does imply aliens will be involved somehow, or Area 51.
Oh.
Because
okay, wait.
Riley Poole, throughout the entire second movie, was like, hey, Nicolas Cage, in that book, do you think it's about Area 51? And Nicolas Cage is like, no, Riley Poole, it's not. And then the implication is that it is.
Okay. National Treasure 3, 51 Blu-rays. And...
Well, it tracks that, Nicolas Cage hasn't quite grasped streaming as a concept yet, so I still think he'd still be watching Blu-rays, I think.
And it has a double meaning, because the aliens' laser blasts are blue, because we can't afford more colours than just blue in the CGI budget. It's very cheap.
Well, there you go. Yeah, because... Yeah, that's true.
Disney's getting you and me to fund this one, so I've got to say, based on our respective levels of income, it's not going to be a high production flick. It's going to be...
Well, yeah. Now, I could lend you a name for the next National Treasure movie based on the URL of the first news story I want to share.
Okay.
Because it says, well, this is the URL, by the way, the little bullets after the main URL. National Treasure 3, Snake Cannibal Romance Drama.
Very good. That's extremely good, and I want that movie in my life and my film Netflix queue, please.
Yeah, National Treasure 3, Snake Cannibal Romance Drama.
I am very taken by this idea now that movies just have to sort of describe themselves in the title.
Right, exactly. It's like... all movies should be titled like eBay listings that have been automatically generated with a bunch of keywords in it.
Like Titanic should be just like boat disaster romance. Like, I want that to be the name of that movie.
It needs to have more keywords in there, because otherwise people aren't going to find it. So it's like boat disaster romance, Atlantic, cold, 19 whatever's.
Period piece.
Period piece. Leonardo DiCaprio, cold, dead.
Avatar, it just says animated Pocahontas in space, environmentalism, and that's like all of it. Oh, and then just like white savior.
Sure, and then film at the end, so you know that. So that eBay knows what you're searching for when you go to buy this Blu-ray.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'll start today with this Snake Cannibal Romance Drama, as the URL lays out quite clearly for us.
Yes.
You can probably guess what the story's about based on those keywords.
There's a few different sort of combinations of those words that I think could be fascinating, each of their own special way.
Sure. This is from ABC News, and it's by Megan McDonald, and it says, Snake Cannibal Romance Drama, not unusual for copperheads, expert says. So the title is basically the same as the URL, Snake Cannibal Romance Drama.
Okay, I respect that. That's a great title. It's basically... It's a step away from the movie Cannibal Holocaust, but like, there's a
lot of words in that I think will make a good story when I clicked this. It's got snakes. I like snake stories on this podcast. It's got cannibals. I don't know if we've brought that up yet on this podcast, but it's something.
I go to say astonishing, but also it's consistently grisly, so I get how maybe it's not always our time.
Yeah, it's not. Well, we could share that story about the guy from Vice who ate his own foot in tacos.
We're going to have to come back to that, because I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but
Sorry,
I want to very
you don't know what
desperately.
I'm talking about?
Nope.
A guy had a motorcycle accident and his foot was amputated, and then for Vice he wrote a story about how he cooked his own feet and turned it into tacos.
Hey, Vice?
And served it to him and his friends.
Hey, Vice, you shouldn't be encouraging this behaviour. You're a business organisation with ethical standards, I assume.
Yeah.
That's not cool, Vice. What the fuck? Don't do that shit.
Well, if it's your foot and you got it amputated, like, you can eat your own foot, I suppose.
Vice, this is why people don't trust journalists these days. You go up to someone and you're like, I'm a journalist, and they're like, oh yeah, you're just like a corrupt foot eater. And I'm like,
yeah, you just eat your own feet, you disgusting freak.
Don't label me with that vicey brush.
I swear I've mentioned this story on here at least once.
Maybe I wasn't listening.
Who knows? But this isn't about human cannibals. This is about snake cannibals, which is different. A Tasmanian snake catcher in the middle of the island's busy season has witnessed a serpentine cannibalistic drama unfold with a surprise twist in the tail. Tail. Yeah.
I'm so tired, man.
I'm ready for bed. After arriving at the residence in Sorrel, northeast of Hobart, for a snake in the driveway on the weekend, Reptar Rescues Chris Daly soon realised things were not quite as they seemed. I wonder if this snake catcher has featured in our podcast before, somewhere in the snake catcher cinematic universe, amongst the many other ones.
There can only be so many, you know.
Yeah.
At a certain point, we've already doubled up a couple of times, so it seems
we
inevitable.
have, with these same snake catchers.
But there's also been enough snake catchers that I've forgotten a lot of their names.
Yeah, well, it's certainly not ringing bells immediately. When we arrived, we quickly realised it was two snakes, and one had the other's tail sticking out of its mouth, Mr. Daly said. The snakes, both copperheads, were at first thought to have been mating, with the male becoming a post-coital snack.
Okay,
immediate... But Mr. Daly thought otherwise.
Hot.
Firstly, I want to say I really like that phrasing there, a post-coital snack. It's very ABC. It tracks.
I'm very into that as a concept. Like, I think that maybe that we need to take after the snake and eat our partners.
It's not ideal.
Okay, ladies of the world, I have a very special message for you. If you go home with a man and he's a nice man and you're like, let's see where this goes, and if he's very bad at the sex, I think you are allowed to kill and eat him as punishment.
Well, okay.
Because this is you doing a service. No one else will have to endure his bad lovemaking.
Sure. Or, alternatively, you can lay out a buffet table in the room so that when you're finished, you can enjoy the buffet and take your mind off what just happened.
And then give him a step-by-step tutorial of how he fucked up so badly.
Yeah, because you're relaxing, you're eating food now, you know, everyone's in a good mood, they're eating some macaroni cheese, they're in a good mood.
I'm just imagining he leans over and he's like, was that good for you? And you, as you, like, eat caviar on fancy breads, you're just like, no, it was awful. You're pathetic.
And then you lay down, you pull out your notebook where you've been taking notes the whole time, and he hasn't noticed that you've been taking notes the whole time.
You've drawn some extremely extensive, like,
right,
storyboard diagrams. It's very helpful to him, and he does improve.
And he's like, oh, when did you write that? It's like, well, I was writing that the whole time.
And then you say, well, you were so focused on yourself, it's not a surprise you couldn't tell. What?
There you go. Well, anyway. So the snakes, both copperheads, were at first thought to have been mating, with the male becoming a post-coital snack. I read that again because I like that phrase.
Get it.
Mr. Daly thought otherwise. I think the young male tried his luck, and the female wasn't having it, so she just ended up eating him. Very good idea.
Honestly, again, yeah, if a dude comes up to you
I like her moxie, you know?
If you have the capacity to, if like a dude's hitting on you and you're like, no thank you, don't be afraid to eat him. Just sometimes
do that.
I think it'll, again, make the world a better place, so just give it a try.
This little snake boy was like, hey, missus, want to do it? And she's like, you know what, I don't. And then she just ate him.
She killed and ate him.
That's how consent works, you know?
Exactly.
You know, you can say enthusiastic yes, or you can kill and eat them.
It's Dungeons and Dragons rules. If you roll a 20, you get laid. If you roll a 1, you die and get eaten. You know?
The species of snake is one of 3 common to Tasmania: tiger, white-lipped, and copperhead, all venomous. Mr. Daly said that once the female copperheads and her plucky passenger were caught and placed into the container, the female gave up her victim. By the way, this male snake was alive this whole time. The defense mechanism of a snake is to spew up its food. So when you go to catch them, they tend to do that, he said. Both snakes are now doing fine.
That's my defense mechanism too, but it's in different circumstances.
You just get arrested by the police and
just throw up on them. Look, tell me that wouldn't work.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
It would at least startle them.
I've never been in that situation before. I've never had to try that.
Neither have I.
But who knows? If someone has tried that before, let me know.
I don't know if I can do it on command. I might have to practice.
No, exactly. So yeah, I can't imagine for the female snake it would have been comfortable for there to be a living snake wriggling around in her.
I mean, unless she's into that.
Maybe she's into that.
Everyone's nasty.
Dear.
Everyone's got their own special brand of nasty.
Who knows? Maybe snakes are into that now.
Yeah.
Anyway, both snakes are doing fine. The snake catcher says, I've already released the female, but the male needs a few extra days to recover after being down the other snake's neck.
After being eaten. Understandable, honestly. I respect that.
I mean, fair enough. If you got eaten alive, you deserve a few more days off.
Yeah, self-care is really important, everybody. If you get
Self-care is taking a few days off after someone tried to eat you and were unsuccessful. Oh, God. There's not much more to this story, really. I'm just going to read this last little bit from the snake catcher. He says, the cannibalistic behaviour was quite common amongst copperhead snakes in Tasmania, and that there were an unexpected benefits to having the species around. They will eat the tiger snakes, and most bites towards humans are dry, he said.
Oh.
So if you want a snake that's going to eat other snakes, I suppose get this copperhead into your home.
That's kind of like how it sometimes can be good to have a huntsman spider in your house because it eats flies. This is just a sort of larger scale version of that.
Oh, and they eat other spiders too. They eat the redback spiders.
Yeah, huntsmans are great. Everyone should have a pet huntsman that doesn't live in a cage. It just lives on the ceiling.
Now, what I think is that humanity didn't learn the lesson from the tale of the old lady who swallowed a fly, because soon there'll be a problem where we're going to need to get another creature in to eat the creatures that are eating the creatures. Which is not ideal.
Can I give you a story submitted to us by a listener of ours, a Twitter user who goes by Elroy Belroy?
Great.
They've submitted us this story from mysanantonio.com.
Okay.
Don't rename Chicken Dinner Road, Idaho lawmaker says.
Why would anyone want to rename that road?
Right?
It's perfect.
A lawmaker said Monday that Chicken Dinner Road in southwest Idaho is a historic name and is opposed to an animal protection group's request to rename it.
Well, okay, the animal protection group is making the assumption that the chicken is for dinner, when in fact it could be saying that, hey, if chickens come here, there will be lots of dinner for you on this street. Right?
They're just not being open-minded enough, which is...
Yeah, exactly. You know, like maybe all the people in that street, they leave lots of corn out for the chickens to eat, and that's lovely. And how will the chickens know?
So, Republican Representative Scott Syme on Monday introduced a concurrent resolution urging fellow lawmakers to support the existing name. And while I hate to support a Republican representative, I do feel that this guy has the right idea.
Well, anyone who wants to preserve that historic name has the right idea.
This is the one time I support conservatism, when I'm supporting Chicken Dinner Road.
Right, exactly. Unless Chicken Dinner Road is secretly something racist.
God, I hope not.
I certainly hope not too.
It doesn't seem like the opposition to it is based around it being racist. It just seems to be about they don't like...
It's based around PETA.
It's a PETA thing, yeah.
Okay, sure.
Oh, it actually is. Fine. It actually is PETA.
Oh, well, okay, that's fine. I'm happy to keep this name then.
I think that one of our recurring themes of this podcast is fuck PETA. So, like...
Of all animal rights organisations, I feel like they're probably the least good.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to rip on PETA, even though I'm in support of animal rights. You know,
I'm just
go
not
vegan.
In support of PETA.
So PETA, they can get their shit together.
We love vegans, but fuck PETA.
Yeah.
And also
precisely.
everyone named PETA. That's a hot take, and I'm going to keep it.
I can think of a few bad Peters off the top of my head.
Concurrent resolutions do not need the signature of the governor and don't have the force of law. People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals in July asked Caldwell officials to change the name to what it says is the kinder and simpler Chicken Road. Symes says the original name stems from a 1930s resident famous for her chicken dinners who helped to persuade the then Democratic Governor C. Ben Ross to improve the road in Canyon County.
Well, that just sounds wholesome, Chris.
Right? It sounds very sweet.
I was thinking maybe chicken dinner is something bad. It's just a lovely lady who helped cook dinners for people and build a road.
Yeah, this is one of the few times where it does what it says on the box, and it's quite good. And I support it. And I just
Peter, if you're calling it Chicken Road, to me that implies the road is made from the corpses of chickens, which sounds more violent than
Peter.
A road made for chickens to come and eat dinner.
Yeah, Peter, why don't you think about shit for a second before you say it?
Exactly. Who's the real monsters here?
It's just Peter.
The people feeding the chickens or the people paving roads from the corpses of chickens?
I really have it out for Peter this week. There's actually not any more to the story. It's very short. And I thank you very much to Elroy Belroy for sending us that. Please, people, feel free to send us more stuff.
Yeah,
that one was...
we love receiving your stories, especially when they're random like that one. That would have never crossed my radar.
No, I would never have found the Chicken Dinner Road story. And I really want to now find food-themed roads. Like, I'd love a gravy... I'd love to go to Gravy Boat Road.
Yorkshire Pudding Road.
Yorkshire Pudding Road. Black Sausage Road. Like, there's a lot of good options, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do we want to stay in the United States for a little while? Because I've got a story from there.
Yeah, sure, why not?
From the US of A.
I mean, statistically,
this isn't a small story.
Another behind the music thing, the vast majority of our listener base is currently based there, so I think that maybe we should start pandering to them.
Well, there you go. Unless you guys like our Australian content, we'll still bring you Australian content.
Nah, Allison, we got to do what they want. Guns, freedom. Come on, let's do it.
Guns, freedom. I simply don't feel safe walking down the street in Australia because I don't have a gun. I've got a story.
I hate all non-white people. No, I'm sorry.
Yikes.
I can't say that, no.
Absolutely not. Okay, moving along.
Please continue.
This story crossed my feed in a couple of different forms on Twitter. It is a story about the Super Bowl, and I actually don't understand the Super Bowl aside from it's football and it has some ads that people watch.
It's like the grand final, right? That's my understanding of it.
It's like the footy.
I don't know why it's called the Super Bowl. They don't even bowl in it.
No, there's no lawn bowls involved in this at all. Which is quite disappointing.
When I first heard Super Bowl, I was thinking of like a cricket bowler doing like a big Dragon Ball Z power move and like throwing the ball with such force that it causes a huge explosion.
It's the only logical explanation.
I feel very confident in saying would be better.
What do you know about the Super Bowl this year? From your little hot seat in Australia.
Well, I know about the nut. So I know a lot about nuts. I know that all the ads just seem very meme-centric. And I feel like the olds are trying to take our quirky millennial humour and use it to sell us stuff, which
it doesn't work too well.
I'm worried it works very well is the problem.
Does it work? I don't know. I'm out of touch.
I haven't wanted to buy anything because of the nut quite yet,
Sure.
I'll say that.
No, I haven't either. This is an article about the Super Bowl by the publication Right Wing Watch, which is quite a good... I can't pronounce it properly. Right Wing Watch, which is quite a good publication to hear a lot about what's happening in that world of politics in America on the fringe.
Everyone's favourite area.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, when I saw this being shared...
We may as well just, like, rename it Nazi Pals. Like, at a certain point, you know, if you're like... We follow far-right individuals... Anyway, continue.
Anyway, well, this publication actually kind of, like, exposes a lot of, like, you know, genuine far-right groups and does a lot of exposés and a lot of investigative work. This isn't an exposé or investigative work. This is just something... quite funny to me.
Fair enough.
Dave Dobbenmeyer hopes to sue the NFL for putting his eternal salvation at risk with the Super Bowl halftime show.
Oh, Allison, feed it to me, spoonful by spoonful.
Here comes the aeroplane.
Dollop it into
up.
my mouth. Yes, please.
This is the kind of content
yummy,
I love.
yummy. No tummy.
So, at the halftime show, it was quite sexy. They had some J-Lo, some...
Fucking Shakira was there, wasn't she?
Shakira. Yeah, she was Shakira, and she was dressed like her character on Zootopia.
Otherwise known as Sexy Spice, according to Broad City, which I always liked.
Well, that works too. Radical right-wing activist Dave Dobbenmeyer spent most of his Pass the Salt live webcast yesterday threatening to sue the National Football League for broadcasting unsolicited crotch shots into his home during the Super Bowl halftime show, thereby jeopardizing his eternal salvation.
Oh, no, David, you saw Shakira's butt. You're not allowed in heaven now, David.
God is looking down on America right now. Well, when the Super Bowl was happening.
God put Shakira on this earth to test us all.
At that moment, God actually had all his men out there, like, in the operating room, just tallying any time someone glanced at the screen when Shakira's butt was on there.
Do we think that means Shakira is an angel or a demon?
Oh, I mean, there's overlap, right?
There's
overlap.
True. She's like a middle one, like a Good Place character.
Yeah, well, what God actually... She doesn't work for him. She was contracted by him to do this task.
Shakira is God's temp. Who's
exactly.
Working for the lifetime of one Shakira is how long she's been contracted
and
for.
Dave took a few too many glances at the screen, Chris, and now he knows he's done for.
I love the idea that Shakira is basically like the human relations for humanity.
Oh,
like it's
yeah,
her
and J-Lo, they're working together on this.
She's God's accreditor.
we ought to sue, he said. Would that halftime show, would that have been rated PG? Were there any warnings that your 12-year-old son, whose hormones are just starting to operate, was there any warning that what he was going to see might cause him to get sexually excited?
Oh my god. I'm so scared that my 12-year-old's going to get horny because he's going to see Shakira's vag. That's terrifying.
Oh my god.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Who's sitting there thinking about... Like, okay...
You're literally thinking about your child's boner in that moment. Stop doing that.
Here's what you should do. If you're watching the football and then Shakira pops up on the halftime show and you know God's testing you, just change the channel until the halftime show is over.
Or just enjoy Shakira and her wonderful tunes and don't look at her vag. You can just listen, you know.
Just do that. Up to you. You've got two options I've laid out there.
Maybe look at Shakira and enjoy her wonderful artistic performance that she gave you.
Oh, yeah. I feel like these guys are especially salty considering the implication at part of the performance. I haven't watched the performance. I have seen a beat-by-beat breakdown on Twitter about the performance.
Is this the GIF?
This is the kids in cages implication here.
I thought it was the GIF where it looks like Shakira's eating pussy. I thought that was the bit we were talking about.
I mean, fair. I haven't seen that GIF.
Oh, okay. She basically just sticks her tongue out and waggles it very aggressively. But for what it's worth, I'm fairly confident this man wouldn't get the association due to lack of experience.
No, he wouldn't understand that because he's probably never done that.
Absolutely not.
He wouldn't dare. I think we ought to go sit down in a courtroom and present this as evidence of how whoever is keeping me from getting into the kingdom of heaven, Dobbenmeyer added. Could I go into a courtroom and say, viewing what you put on that screen could put me in danger of hellfire? Could the court say, that doesn't apply here because the right to produce porn overrides your right not to watch it? Yeah, well, you didn't tell me I was going to watch it. You just brought it into my living room. You didn't tell me there were going to be crotch shots.
So what he wants is a horniness trigger warning.
Yeah, essentially. He wants his safe space to be protected in his room.
For a group of people who complain about this very such thing, I've got to say, I am livid at the concept, but at the same time, I quite like the idea of horniness trigger warnings, because they could apply to literally everything. Like,
I don't know what he thinks he's watching, though, because I'm fairly confident, like, you know, cheerleaders, sexy cheerleaders are a thing in the United States. They don't exist in Australia, but certainly do in the United States. Are they allowed under God? Is that okay, sexy cheerleaders?
I think this guy took his kids to see Cats, and now he's suing Tom Hooper because the Cats gave his son a boner.
Well, I mean, who wouldn't in that situation?
It was an extremely sexual movie. It genuinely was. I'm not even kidding. It is an extremely sexual movie.
I've heard. I'm just going to read the last little bit of this because I just had to share. Dobbenmeier declared that the halftime performance was a blatant example of anti-Christian discrimination because he should be able to watch the Super Bowl without having to see things that conflict with his values.
I'm really taken by this idea that God will punish you eternally if you get one boner ever. Like, that's...
Yeah, here's the thing. I went through 13 years of my life in the Christian school system, and if I took away one thing... that is that God forgives. Unless you got a boner watching the Super Bowl, in which case he doesn't forgive you for that. That's what it said in the Bible, apparently.
I remember, so I went to a Christian school, and we had like Bible class in my high school. And there was one class where people were sort of asking about, like, what things are allowed and what things aren't allowed. And
that's when it gets fun in religious studies class, is when people start getting those questions. And they start, like, okay, what they want to do is they want to break down very specifically a situation in which it might be okay.
But you've got to understand also that this was an all-boys school. So one of the questions that did come up was, is it okay to, you know, jerk it? And when the pastor then says, no, it is most certainly not, the room fell silent in such an incredibly eerie way as 20 young men realised they were going to hell for wanking.
Yeah. At that time, it was just like, well, you know what? We can watch Shakira without worry.
In for a penny, in for a pound at that point.
We might as well watch the Super Bowl halftime performance at this point in our lives.
We've sinned so much already.
I feel like if you are a Christian, and you know what? Don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of friends who are Christian, and I love them with my whole heart. But if you're a Christian and you feel like your place in heaven is so easily... taken away, then maybe you're probably not doing the greatest things in general in your life. So you should probably reflect on your values.
I'll also say that since God made Shakira, God is obviously into it.
Oh, he recruited Shakira for this. He gave her those powers.
This is God is horny for Shakira. That's my hot take for 2020.
But is he horny for her Zootopia character?
I don't know.
Where she's a gazelle.
Well,
I'm not sure about that. That's a question for the biblical studies people out there.
So, listeners, if you could write in and tell us what the sexiest Zootopia character is, because I have not seen Zootopia and I don't know.
If you could write in and then delete your message, because I'd rather not know your thoughts on that.
You could write in and send your message to Allison's DMs, please.
I just start getting messages and it's like, oh, Nick. It's just that one word.
Nick. I like that a lot. So I have two related things. These are both from one Facebook page.
Okay, wonderful.
So firstly, my dad sent me a link to the I Watch Yarra Ranges Police Service Area Facebook page. Which
is very specific.
So he sent me a link to one thing, and I'll deal with that in a second. But just going through this, he sent me like a screenshot of the post. But I was like, no, I'm going to find the source. So I was scrolling down this page, and I found this one little advertisement that I thought was fascinating.
Right.
Yarra Ranges detectives are appealing to the public for assistance in an investigation. If you are a male between the ages of 20 and 30 and wish to take part, please contact Senior Constable Gavin Rhodes or email blah, 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 blah.
I'm sorry?
If you're a dude between 20 and 30, you can help with this investigation. What do they want? What do we do? What do they want us to do, Allison? What do they want to do with
Chris, there's
my
one
body?
way to find out. Is to apply.
Is to just say, yo, Gavin, what do you fucking want, man? Why are
you put your name... I can't put my name down. I'm almost 30 and I'm not a male.
So there's two ways you don't qualify for this.
Yeah.
All right, I will, after we finish this recording, I am going to email Gavin and see if I can just find out...
What is this investigation? My interest is piqued.
It's so fascinating. But my dad sent me a link to, shout out to my dad, this post, which reads as follows. Yarra Rangers CRU are investigating a non-fatal shooting that occurred in Blackburn Road, Mooroolbark, earlier this morning. It is alleged a 35-year-old male was in possession of a homemade firearm, which he allegedly tucked down the front of his pants.
Immediately, it doesn't sound like a good idea.
Now, I'm sure you can see where this is going.
I've got some theories about where it might be going, but I don't want to, this is a police investigation.
This is
This is serious business. I don't want to be throwing out wild accusations out there, so I'll wait until you tell me what happened here.
I also need you to understand that this is being written in dot point form, so that's the first two dot points. Dot point number 3.
Well, how many dot points are there?
6.
Okay,
dot point
I'm ready.
3. The homemade firearm has discharged a single shotgun round, which impacted the man's groin area.
Oh, dear.
Dot point number 4. The man was conveyed to a hospital in a non-life-threatening condition.
Right.
So he's
glad to hear.
So he's okay.
So we can laugh at
We're
this.
allowed to
this
laugh
is okay.
at this.
Yeah, right. That's fine.
Dot point 5. Another occupant of the premises is currently assisting police with their inquiries, and there is no risk to the public, which is good.
That's good. I'm glad there's no risk to the public.
There's only risk to privates.
Sure, exactly.
And dot point 6, any persons with information about the incident is urged to contact Yarra Rangers CRU.
Now, I don't have any information to give them, but I do have a theory to give them.
Do you? Because this seems like a pretty complicated, Poirot-esque case, Allison.
So what's happened here? Let's break it down and we'll see if we can Sherlock Holmes this situation.
Yeah.
There's a lot to deal with. So this man, he made a firearm, he put it in his pants, and mysteriously he had a gunshot wound to his groin area.
To the groin area. So there was another occupant of the house, we know that. So that's... It could have been a setup, Allison. You never know.
Well, here's what may have happened. The guy made the gun. The guy in the house was like, hey, that's a cool gun, man. I want that gun. And then he's like, no, you can't have my gun. So then the guy takes another gun, shoots him in the groin, and then the other gun is destroyed after this in the aftermath.
But
all
then
the while,
the original man has a secret twin, so they have to shoot him in the groin too, and then swap them out.
Exactly.
Because otherwise the dental records don't match, and that's not okay.
Yeah, there's a lot that could have been going on here.
So this guy shot himself in the nuts, and I just think that's extremely funny.
It's not an ideal thing to do to yourself. Don't homemade guns, and don't put guns in your down the front of your pants.
Guns are not very legal in this country, so...
No.
And I think...
Go to the United States of America, and then you can put guns down your pants as much as you like.
Yeah, if you want to blow your penis off, I think Australia is not the place to do it. And I don't mean to be discriminatory, but I think if you're going to shoot your nards into the floor, I would prefer it if you did it somewhere else, and that's just my personal opinion. And
it's not ideal.
I'm not going to apologise for that opinion, that I don't think people should shoot their own dicks off in Australia. I think that's just...
I don't think people should do that anywhere, but I feel like in America, it's your right to do that if you so wish, and I'm not going to infringe on your freedoms.
Yeah, that's one of their amendments, is Amendment number 7
precisely.
is... Thou shall blow one's nards off with pellet spread, Speaking
of police, though...
Thou shalt spread their nards onto the floor.
I do have a police story to follow up this one.
Okay.
There's not too much to it. Again, it's about like a police Facebook page. And look, one of my favourite genres of police stories are criminals interacting with the police Facebook page on their own wanted posts, which happens surprisingly a lot in Australia.
That's some real Zodiac killer energy there, where you just you're in it for the fame, you're in it for the glory. That's that Jesse James shit.
So I'm reading from 10 Daily, and this is by Erin Lyons. And it says, an Australian woman has taken a cheeky swipe at police for posting an unflattering trailer trash mugshot of her online. Tiffany, I'm not going to say her full name because I don't want to put her on blast for all our fans.
No.
Tiffany is wanted over an alleged stealing offence. Police in Newcastle, New South Wales shared the most recent image they had of the 23-year-old. It was taken in 2015 and shows Tiffany with her hair in a messy bun and a tattoo on her shoulder which reads, "We don't remember the days, we remember moments." Tiffany!
Tiffany, you're not helping, Tiffany.
She does not look pleased that she's arrested in this photo.
I mean, I wouldn't be either, I get it.
No. So that's the photo they posted. Police were appealing for information about her whereabouts, saying she is known to frequent areas in Newcastle, including Wallsend. Please refrain from comments that are prejudicial or offensive, they wrote alongside the image. Despite the warning, the post was flooded with a deluge of comments, so Tiffany decided to hit back. Loving the photo taken how many years ago? She wrote.
Oh my god, this is an old photo. This is not even what I look like now.
Let's calm down on the comments, guys. It's not every day I look like trailer trash.
I got that.
Let's just say it wasn't a good angle, shall we?
I got that super lame tattoo removed, you guys.
Newcastle police responded by writing, "It's probably time you walk into a police station before we find you." It's not ideal. But this story...
So her obvious point is that they should have gone and located a more recent photo of her.
Right, exactly.
And I am extremely taken by the concept of, like, a constable on their, like, 1998 desktop computer browsing through Tiffany's Instagram, just being like... Someone's like, "Oh, what you doing there, Bob?" It's like, "Oh, I'm just trying to find a good photo of Tiffany so we can put it up on the website."
Yeah, it's like we've got... They don't use mugshots.
I'm just trying to find a good shot of Tiff so we can put it up on the Facebook.
Do you think the people will be confused if we put this one with the Snapchat dog filter? Do you think they're looking for a human-dog hybrid if we upload this?
She's with a friend in this one. Do you think that's going to make it too hard to tell which one is her? Do you think this bikini shot is too revealing for the Facebook page of the Victoria Police?
It reminds me of... Do you remember the story? And it was the criminal man who had his mugshot uploaded, and then he's like, "Oh, this photo's really old." He did the same thing, and the police were like, "Why don't you come down to the station and we'll take a new photo for you?"
Well, I mean, the most baller move would be to take a selfie at an easily identifiable location, leave the location, go somewhere else, and then upload that selfie like an hour later and say, "Why don't you use this instead?" Then they all rush there. You're already gone. That's some James Bond shit.
Hang on, I was just Googling to find that original story, but I found a better story.
Please do.
Which is in a very similar energy. This is from Reuters, actually. And it says, a British man on the run from police sent a picture of himself to his local paper because he disliked the mugshot they had printed of him as part of a public appeal to track him down.
I really love when someone does something that I suggest as a joke in real life, because it happens far more than it should.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. South Wales police had issued the media with the photo of Matthew, wanted by officers investigating a house burglary as part of a crackdown on crime. When it appeared the South Wales Evening Post, the 23-year-old sent the newspaper a replacement photo of himself standing in front of a police van. They obligingly printed it on the front page.
That's a flex, though. I like that he's standing in front of a police van. That's very good. You can't...
Oh, it is.
You can't get me, you fucking nerds. Like, that's extremely good, actually.
The police thanked the criminal for helping them in their appeal, saying everyone in Swansea will know what he looks like now. Which is
and then he says
probably true.
He sends them another photo taken in front of the police station and says, "That's going to be of no help to you, you useless morons." Like, I think I just like the idea of trolling the police Facebook page more than anything else.
Look, if I was a wanted criminal and I knew there was a good chance that I would probably be arrested, I too might consider commenting on my own wanted post for the lols, for the memes.
At that point, you just got to have fun with it. Like, you're in too deep.
Like, you know the police are coming to arrest you because it's Newcastle and everyone knows everyone. So you're like, at this point, I'm going to comment on my own wanted poster. Because why not?
What I would do is I would just start sending them, like, Mad Libs or something like that. Like, just something so inane that they have to investigate because it's their jobs.
Oh, dear. Social media, hey? Makes the world a strange place.
Or I would start posting tweets that say things like, the Rusden Street McDonald's is my favourite place to go. And then go there for, like, a very short amount of time, appear on the security camera and run away before the police can arrive. Like, just sort of start deliberately being, like, 2 minutes ahead of them. Because I feel
like you'd have to be pretty fast to do that. I might just get lazy, though.
It's the only thrill that keeps me feeling alive, is running away from the police.
Like, I might get to the point where I've, like, been running for a few minutes, or maybe even 30 seconds, and then be like, okay, I can go to jail where I don't have to run.
Oh, well,
I can run.
I'm assuming that I'm riding around on a sick motorcycle.
Oh, okay.
I'm inside
or a horse. That would be cool.
I'm inside the McDonald's on the horse on the security footage, so like they know.
Because
what
if your horse shits on the street,
it's a baller
then
move
it's
too. But you're
then
also.
We know the New South Wales police consider that not to be a crime, as we have revealed.
It's also
a
Hansel and Gretel-esque trail of breadcrumbs for the police to follow to find a trail of horse crumbs, if you will.
Oh, that's not great.
Plus,
that's not ideal.
Depending on the horse's diet, it could be a literal trail of breadcrumbs as well.
Yikes. That's true.
Yeah. I'm sorry I said that.
I don't want to think too much about that.
Let me find one more story, because we don't quite have enough time yet.
That's okay. I do have more stories. I've got lots this week, actually.
That's okay. I have one more that I think is a little bit of a change of pace that I think will be fun. This is
that's good. Then I can save some of my stories for next week. By the way, they're all animal stories, so it's a good thing we're not doing all of them in a row.
This is a bit outside our usual wheelhouse, but also is kind of similar to some stuff I've been talking about recently. So this is another...
Okay, well, that's good.
Another one from Stereo Gum, another article by Tom Brahan. This is...
Do we pay him royalties to read out his stories on this? Is that something we need to do?
No, he's just...
I sure hope not.
He's just one of the 4 people who works at Stereo Gum, so...
okay, well, that's fair. That's okay.
They're a free website. They're getting publicity from this, sort of.
Well, somewhat, yeah.
They put a previous podcast that I've worked on their top 10 podcasts of 2019, so I'm pretty sure...
Nice.
I'm pretty sure they'll be okay with it, Allison. I'm basically royalty to them.
You're basically, they're top 10.
They definitely know who I am.
They know you.
Here are the best things Grimes says during her Vogue makeup tutorial.
Okay, the only tutorial I need in my life is the Paris Hilton lasagna tutorial. All other tutorials can die, frankly.
Grimes is now no shit real deal famous, especially now with Elon Musk and the pregnancy and everything. But it's still...
you didn't have to mention Elon Musk or the pregnancy. It's put things in my mind again.
But it's still pretty funny to imagine a regular viewer of Vogue makeup tutorials stumbling across a Grimes version and wondering who the fuck this lady is.
It's true.
Grimes is getting ready to release the new album, and by way of promotion, she recently did a 13-minute video for Vogue explaining the process of the, quote, sort of psychedelic makeup look that I do.
Okay.
And here's just a list of stuff that Grimes says in this that is bizarre or just, like, generally funny.
Okay, I'm mentally prepared now. I've already been scarred by thinking about Elon's baby, Elon's loin spawn. Just continue.
I don't like the term loin spawn at all. I don't know if everyone...
Well, I made that term myself, so you're just criticising my work now, Chris.
You're welcome. I don't know if everyone has this, but when I got knocked up, my skin just turned super red and constantly covered in stuff. And stuff is italicized.
Okay, sure.
I'm not working on music at the moment. Well, actually, that's kind of a lie, but I don't need to be virtuosic on a guitar at this point in time, so it's sort of a brief window where I can have luxurious nails, because it makes me feel happier having claws.
I'm sure it does.
I used to have a great unibrow, like fully a unibrow. I did kind of wreck it in high school because it doesn't really come back anymore, which is sad to me. That was a mistake because I feel like unibrows are super cool now. If I could have it back, I would. I'm learning a lot about fashion from Grimes here.
I didn't know unibrows were cool. I just got my eyebrows waxed on the weekend. If I had have known unibrows were cool, I would not have done that. I would have allowed my unibrow to grow in.
I am going to stop plucking my unibrow just so I can be the kind of cool man that Grimes is interested in.
And if anyone's like, what's wrong with your eyebrows? I'll say, Grimes said it's cool now. And then they'll have to accept me.
I don't usually put stuff under my eyes because I like having bags under my eyes. I like looking kind of scary.
Oh, well, that tracks. Fair enough.
There's a consistent thing where there's an ellipsis before the last word in her sentence, and then it's delivered as either a question or like a menacing statement.
That's her energy. That's how she is, I suppose.
I really like the Kardashians' makeup because I just like the look. It's obviously some Neanderthal thing where you just like the big eyes and the lips and the contour, but it doesn't look good on me, so I can't do it. It might be because you're a petite white lady, Grimes, but, I don't know about that.
Well, that could have something to do with it.
I like the look of being pretty, but, ravaged by war. Like a character Eva in Metal Gear 3 or something.
I don't want to hear about Grimes being ravaged, because we know who is doing the ravaging
Allison,
at this point in time.
Get your head out of the gutter. She's being ravaged by war like Eva from Metal Gear 3. Come on, right, Allison.
Sorry,
You nasty, Allison.
I know she's pregnant with Elon's baby, and that's basically...
Allison, you're here talking about this nasty stuff. Grimes just talking about being ravaged, in a war zone, like in Metal Gear, the PlayStation game.
It's true, she is. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't bring up...
Don't put the image of Elon Musk, quote, ravaging someone in my mind, Allison. I don't want that.
That was really wrong of me. I'm really sorry for bringing that up.
I can't get it out of my head. No! No! Ah!
Many apologies for that. For whatever I've done to you there.
You've ruined me, Allison. You've ruined me.
Oh, well...
Fuck the rest of this article. It's not worth it.
I'd like to apologise to our listeners for the technical difficulties
that awful
that
man's
we're happening
face,
there.
that his awful
Chris,
face.
We're done with this.
Jesus Christ.
We're done with this now.
Kill me.
We can move on from this.
Life is worthless.
Breathe deeply. Think of Nicolas Cage in National Treasure. Think of Shakira.
Both of Shakira and Nicolas Cage, the sexual opposites of Elon Musk. Thank you.
Just fill your brain with them. Think about the snake eating its own lover. Think about cannibal drama.
I feel like I'm having a panic attack. Oh my god.
There's a lot of good things that we were talking about before we came into this story.
Oh my god, I'm so sweaty.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just...
Are you breathing? Are you alright?
Breathing too much, man.
Just don't breathe anymore.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody.
It's really a heavy note to end on there.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the downer that we ended that on. That's rough. I feel like...
Okay.
I genuinely feel kind of...
It'll make you feel better. Chicken Dinner Street.
Allison, I genuinely feel kind of faint. I feel like I'm going to pass out.
Well, you should probably have some water and maybe go to sleep or something.
I think maybe. You can find
us probably... Yeah. Find us online.
Find us online, Twitter or Instagram, @RedManusCast. I don't give a fuck about the rest of it. Buy our shirts on TeePublic. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
We love you all.
We love you all. Oh my god, I don't feel okay.
And many apologies for the content in this. We should do a content warning, just so people know that it may put their standing with God in trouble to listen to
trigger
this.
warning that there's the awful mental image that's in this
at
episode.
the end there.
Just kind of like a sea mine sitting at the end of our episode waiting to fuck you in the head.
Yeah, we're done. We're finished.
Oh my God, kill me.
Good night. Goodbye.
Good luck. You'll need it. Good night.